Hello, I'm Gabriel with Divya Stone's Crystal Casting Divination Readings. Welcome to my channel and thank you for being here. This is your week ahead reading for the week of July 29th. Or is it the 26th? Oh my gosh, it's the 26th. I'm so sorry. So, we've got a lot going on energetically this week. There's a full moon in Aquarius. We're entering into Leo season right now. And I believe that Mercury has now gone direct, thankfully. So we're going to see what the board and the crystals have to tell us about our guidance for the week and how we can navigate these energies and what's up and coming. So this is a collective reading, and as always, you can apply it to your life as it makes sense to you with the details and also to the collective energy. So it's kind of a dual purpose. And even though this is for this week, I trust that anytime this video is watched, there's no time and space and spirit, so the messages are perfect at the right time. The way the board works is I'm going to choose some random crystals, scatter them on the board. I will be combining the energy of the stones with the meaning of the symbols where they land, and that becomes the messages from spirit. The stones are in pairs because there's a connection between the two that match on the board, and it'll make more sense as I dive in. So we're asking the question to spirit, please show us what we need to know right now for this week for the individuals that are watching this video and for the collective. So I'm going to choose 3 random stones to work with today, plus I'll choose a guide stone. So let's see what we come up with. So first we have amethyst. Okay. Our second stone is labradorite. And our third stone is clear quartz. That's a lot of ethereal energy right there. And I put those back. I will get a little bit of that energy on these crystals so they can really speak to us. And now I will randomly select the guide stone. And we have lapis. That goes right in the middle on the eye. I will be changing the view now to the board so that you can really see what I'm looking at and follow along. And by the way, if you don't have time to just sit and look at your screen, you can just listen to the reading and you'll still get the same messages. Okay, so as always, I'm going to start with our guide stone, which is the one here on the eye in the middle. This just represents the ethereal realm. And we have lapis as our guide for this week. So lapis really has a lot of really wonderful energies, especially for what's going on right now, energetically speaking. It is about speaking truth from a place of higher communication, which has to do with self-expression, having good boundaries, standing in your spiritual power. It is also a stone that can help relieve stress. It can bring about some proper judgment, so good decisions. And it is all about the intellect. So it really applies some logic to whatever it is that we're navigating. And it's a great stone for manifestation and kind of bringing that in a way that is logical and makes sense. And it's not too kind of dreamy, if you will. Sometimes we can get a little bit too dreamy, and this is going to help us be a little bit more realistic, which is in a way a really good thing because then we're more likely to bring to fruition what we're working on. So that's kind of the overall theme and energy for this week. And we're going to look at these other stones now and their placements and see where do they tie into this. The first thing that I'm really drawn to on the board is the clear quartz. They both stayed in the same section. This is the material world. So this has to do with everything we can see and touch, reality, if you will. So it's our money, it's our resources, it's our finances, it's everything that's available to us. It can also be experiences that are happening, that are tangible right now, and our relationship to these things. So our relationship to our abundance, prosperity, that sort of thing. So let's start with the stone. We've got our clear quartz there. Always is a healer. So any kind of energies you're having around your resources and your abundance that needs healing, now is a kind of a good time to look at where can I make some, little adjustments in the way that I interact with my money, my resources, and what ideas am I carrying around that are not serving me, right? Am I in a space of lack and limitation? Am I in a space of openness and gratitude? Where do I need to shift that in a healing way? So that's first and foremost. But it also brings balance and clarity. So this is great for making good financial decisions. It is also a stone that kind of amplifies whatever positive energy we're putting in, amplifies the universal energy to bring about manifestation. So now's a really good time to really think about, on that material plane, what am I trying to manifest? What am I working with? What clarity do I need to move forward and use your intuition too? Because clear quartz is very much about psychic abilities and intuition, and it kind of opens doors for us. So what door do we want to open and step through in this area right now? We've got two symbols going on here. I'm going to start with the scarab beetle. The scarab beetle in the material world is about resourcefulness, taking whatever is available to you and getting very creative with it, right? When you think about a dung beetle in the desert, they use the camel dung to really provide everything they need. So they're very resourceful. And we often have resources available to us that are right in front of us, and we're thinking too linear, we're thinking inside the box, and so we're not using them to their maximum. This also represents cycles. So remembering that our prosperity and our flow often have seasons, just like the seasons of nature. So if you're in a season right now where things are particularly difficult, remembering that seasons cycle back around. And so things are going to cycle and get better. And just to be able to kind of flow with that from a place of trust and openness, and really leaning into source energy, because clear quartz really does bring us back to source. So that is the message with the scarab beetle. And then the other clear quartz is right next to this little fruit that's a mango. This is a 3-part symbol of actually manifesting in the material world. So we have a seed, we have the soil, and then we have the plant, which is, like I said, the mango. So this is really the manifestation period of that creative process. When we co-create with spirit, we set intentions, we do the work in between to nurture those intentions and to help them grow. And then we get the fruit of our labor, if you will. So this is indicating that there is a really good energy right now with manifesting something that you've been working on. This is about kind of really stepping into the goals that are important to you, focusing on those, kind of maybe even regrouping a little bit, reconstructing those goals, and kind of going, what is the most important thing for me right now to manifest? Maybe your goals have changed. Maybe what used to be important to you that you were heavily focused on is not as important, and it's okay to shift that. It's okay to release the old ideas and move into something new, maybe something innovative. We are going to be experiencing the full moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius is very innovative. It's very creative. It thinks outside the box. It gets inventive, right? So as you're thinking about what you're manifesting right now, think about if it does it still fit? Is it time to readjust that? And that can also be applied to other areas of your life, like relationships and communities. And, where can you release things that are, not really working for you anymore, and stepping into something bigger and better and getting that clarity around that. Okay. That's very important. So that's what's going on with the clear quartz. I'm going to go ahead and move into the energy of the amethyst now. We've got one amethyst down here in the family section, or if you will, this is kind of like your ancestral section, your timeline, meaning your family of origin, not necessarily the way it is today, but your childhood, previous generations, family patterns, things like that. And then we have the other amethyst way up here, and this is in your purpose and livelihood section and your kind of your expression in the world. So this can have to do with your job. It can also have to do with a sense of purpose, something that may be outside of your job. Maybe your purpose and your job are intertwined, and that's wonderful, whatever your source of income is. So let's talk about amethyst. Again, it's a healer, so there's a lot of healing energy on the board right now. But it also can really be a motivator, right? It can get us motivated to move in the direction of those things that we were talking about manifesting earlier. So once you have that clarity, this kind of motivates us to work on that and to hold the vision. It's also a stone of vision. And by the way, Aquarius is a visionary energy as we go into this full moon. So we've got this stone that's very visionary showing up during a very visionary time. So this is about really getting clear on what your vision is, what you want to bring, how do you want to bring that vision into reality, and working towards that, being motivated to work towards that. And that can really increase our energy. And really give us like a boost where we're like excited and we want to go for it and we want to work on that. But the clarity is very important here, because right here we have the double arrows and they're pointing in opposite directions, right? They're like this, right? And that's not helpful sometimes. It's like, well, what does that mean? Now I'm confused. Which way do I go? The double arrows can be a little bit about not having all of the information, or some confusion, or maybe you're on the wrong path and you need to get right with that. Okay. So again, this week, it's very important to get clarity over illusions. All right. Down here from the old family patterns, this is between your family of origin and the bat. And the bat is about illusions. The bat is about being in the dark, not being 100% clear on things, having some ability to navigate, but also not being able to see the big picture. And sometimes this shadowy, darker confusion and energy comes from that family of origin. Maybe there's a lack of confidence. Maybe there's a lack of clarity of vision because your family clouded that for you. That's very common, right? So this is about kind of backtracking a little bit and seeing, where did that cloudiness come in? Where did that confusion come in? And recalibrating, reconstructing your goals and your responsibilities in your life so that you can really get these two arrows pointing in the same direction. Now you know which way to go. Now you can bring that vision into fruition, and kind of get rid of the clutter, the confusion, the things that are, kind of keeping you back. And this can even go so far as to your self-identity down here, because we identified as children very strongly in sync with our family dynamics and the labels that our families put on us, the expectations that they put on us. So it's really important to kind of look at your self identity this week and say, am I identifying with something that doesn't even feel like me? And is it time to shed that? Is it time to release that, right? During this full moon, so that I can get that clarity of that purpose and that vision, and then be able to move forward. And how are we going to do that? Well, that's showing up here too. So I'm going to go to our labradorite next. One of them is in the health and well-being section, and it is a little bit on the line. So it is touching into the purpose a little bit. And then the other one is in the life path section. And the life path has to do with beginnings, endings, decisions, direction, that sort of thing. So first of all, let's do the labradorite. This is a stone of high intuition. It really helps us lean into that intuition and get the messages and the guidance that we need from our higher self, from spirit, from the universe, that inner voice that really is so important to listen to. And we often forget to tune into that. So this is about your psychic development in those areas. It brings clarity and insight into your destiny. So again, purpose and what direction you're meant to be heading in. It is a stone of success. So once you get that clarity, once you get the right direction here with the double arrows, then you can move forward in a successful way. But if you just try to kind of push through the confusion and the illusion, and kind of force your way through that, the chances of success are not as high. So this is very important part of the equation here, is to get the clarity from the intuition before you try to push forward with your agenda. So really allowing that mental illumination. And remember, the lapis at the beginning here is very much about the intellect and the mental abilities to process through and express yourself fully into the world. So we're getting the mental clarity on all levels this week. And so this isn't necessarily a week of big action. This is more a week of getting grounded, refocused, restructured, getting the clarity so that we then can move forward when that energy kicks in. So in the health and well-being section, this landed on the padlock. And the padlock is very much about taking some time for yourself, getting some I don't want to say isolation, but some solitude, right? Some privacy, so that you can really discern what's going on with you and what's best for you. If there's too much noise, there's too many people, there's too many distractions, then it's really hard to get to that place of clarity. So you need to go into the quiet. You need to go into the stillness. You need to get some time alone. Maybe go out in nature and go for a hike by yourself, but always be safe. And maybe go into meditation. Maybe find a quiet place where you can just be alone for a little while. Say no to those social plans so that you can have some free time that's just for you. And so this is kind of like holding close what is meant for you, and not necessarily processing it with other people right away, because you're going to lean into your intuition first. You're going to go into that mental clarity. You're going to go into that place where you can really hear that voice, because that is going to bring the clarity that is the theme here this week. Okay. So once you've done that, then you can make some decisions, okay? Because we're going into the life path section now, and this one is on the crossroads, and the crossroads is about a decision, right? It's about making that choice, taking responsibility for your choices. And this kind of is, again, it reminds us to seek the guidance from spirit before we make those decisions, because it is labradorite. And then once you have that clarity, it's time to stand in that, trust that, make a decision and move forward. Okay. So, but that's not until the end of the week at the very earliest. Mercury's gone direct. We can now, feel a little bit better about making big decisions in our life, and possibly even, signing up for things, or, I don't know, just kind of making a commitment, right? Sometimes it's not a good idea to do that during a Mercury retrograde. So now is the time. It doesn't necessarily mean to take the action, but it's about making the decision about which way I'm going to go when I finally take that action. So again, we've got intuition, we've got clarity, we've got some confusion to clear up here. We need to get to that understanding that our abundance and prosperity happens in cycles, and that indeed we are coming up on some pretty big manifestation energy. And then in the family section, remembering that self-identity and where that's holding you back a little bit and actually causing you to not be able to decide which way to go. So there's a lot going on here. It feels very internal. It feels very much like we need to just kind of buckle down and go within and figure things out this week. So, with the Leo season being here, yes, Leo brings a big energy of forward movement and outward expression, but let's do this step first, and then let's see what next week brings. So that's your reading for now. I'm going to switch back to the other view. Once again, thank you for tuning in and listening to your reading for this week. Very much appreciate you being here. I really love doing these videos, these free readings for the collective. Please spread the word, share with your friends, have them follow my YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram, all the wonderful tools that we have available to us. And please remember that I do private readings. And right now you can just reach out to me via email. I'm pretty soon going to have my calendar up so that people can book themselves online, one step at a time. I'm just kind of getting started with this whole thing. So thanks for bearing with me. And I just wanted to really thank you for being a part of my journey and supporting me in this. There's a lot in this reading for me personally, because I have some pretty big goals and things that I'm trying to kind of push forward with. And this really spoke to me about getting a little bit still in the midst of that pressure and that feeling of that need to just power forward. So I'm going to take this to heart this week and really get a little still and really go into that space of making sure I'm on the right track, getting the clarity before I make those decisions. Those double arrows really asks us to get all the facts so that we can make that good decision where the crossroads is, instead of just barreling forward, right? And those of us who are really apt to just go and get things done, sometimes we are a little too impulsive, and that's really speaking to me. That's really coming through. So I hope that spoke to you as well. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for following, and we'll see you midweek for the quick midweek check-in on Wednesday. And that's all I have. Bye for now.